Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by, and welcome to today's Blue Hornet web seminar, Is Your Holiday Coupon Strategy Designed for Success? And now, without further ado, I'd like to hand the call over to your speaker for today's presentation, Kara Trivunovic, Vice President of Strategic Services for Blue Hornet. Kara, you have the floor.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thank you all for joining us today. As Jennifer said, my name is Kara Trivunovic, and I am the Vice President of Strategic Services for Blue Hornet. To provide a bit of background on me, I've been in the email space and digital marketing for about 14 years. I've been leading strategy organizations for about 8 of those 14 years. I've worked on the client side, agency side, and provider side, and have done a little bit of everything from coding and pushing the send button to building complex integrated marketing, communication, and cross-channel strategies. Here at Blue Hornet, I'm responsible for partnering with our clients to drive increased success with their email programs. For those of you today that are in the tweeting spirit, feel free to tweet the content using the BH Coupon hashtag, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. So a few weeks ago, Blue Hornet held a webinar that was focused on couponing strategies, and we kind of looked at types of coupons to use and how to test their effectiveness on your programs. We're going to build on that a little today and shift our attention specifically to couponing during the holiday season. Don't worry if you missed the last webinar. There's still time to grab it. It was recorded, and this will also make sense, I promise. As we move through the content today, though, we're going to provide you with the information that you need to prepare, to really make critical decisions about your email program this coming holiday season. And answering questions like, do you need a new coupon strategy? And if so, how do you alter it or approach that change effectively? We're also going to look at considerations you need to make that are specific to the holidays, like increased email traffic, the pressures on consumers during the holiday season, and the absolute importance of relevance and measurement, which is truly important any time of the year, but it's increasingly important during the holiday season. So discounts, coupons, and free shipping offers are really fixtures of our inboxes during the holiday season. And while marketers spend a significant amount of time planning these offers each year, the distribution method, which is typically email, and the impact on the business is sometimes an afterthought. So a lot of organizations have that, let's just send an email to our entire subscriber base targeting tactic during the holiday season because, the funnel belief is that, more in the funnel, more out the funnel. Well, right now, we're looking at the end of June, nearly July, and while this means amazing summer vacations and cookouts for lots of people, for marketers, especially retailers, it really means it's the time of year to start your holiday planning season. And while I'm sure visions of sugar plums aren't dancing in your heads quite yet, it is time to get in the holiday spirit and really start the planning. And if you can do it poolside, all the better. So let's start at the beginning with the planning and ask ourselves honestly, is it time? Is it time for a new holiday discount strategy? Chances are, if you're on the webinar today, you have a holiday strategy in place or, are looking at evolving, one that you have already. And it's probably something that, you deem, relatively successful or has worked for you in whatever capacity in years past. But, it may be time for a new approach. So, consumers are going to be shopping this holiday season. They're in the buying mode. They're going to be shopping. But the big question that you need to ask yourself is, are they going to be shopping with you? And as a place to start in that planning process for the 2013 holiday season, you really need to take a step back and take the time necessary to review last year's program and last year's results and really determine how your program performed. How did it compare to other programs that you've sent throughout the year? So really doing a baseline comparison of, what your performance metrics were, what your engagement metrics looked like, what your conversion and revenue metrics looked like, specifically for your holiday programming versus the rest of your messaging throughout the year. What were you able to, what were your program performance metrics like against industry benchmarks or competitive analysis if you have that available to you? But really ask yourself what worked. And most importantly, ask yourself what was profitable. One of the things that you have to think about as you're looking at your planning for next year and as you turn an eye to the previous year, consumers are inundated with offers during the holiday season. The inbox is packed with free shipping and 20% off and, last chance messages every year. And each year, that messaging seems to start earlier and earlier. And, with competition for attention in the inbox, that year-over-year review really could shed some pretty significant light on what approaches are working well for you and where you could stand to improve. So you really need to ask yourself if the program was profitable last year during the holidays. It's more than just about increasing revenue year over year. The real test is, were you more profitable? What discounts or sales or coupon codes drove the most traffic and resulted in the most profit? Did you actually drive incremental behavior, or were these purchases going to happen anyway? These are all critical questions to your program year-round, but even more so during the holiday season, because consumers really are in that buying frame of mind, and it's all about finding the perfect gift for that perfect person. And as you start placing more offers and more content in the inbox, these are all things that they're taking into consideration. So if coupons play a big role in driving activity for your brand over the course of the last year, or as you look at your program in its totality, you need to take the time now to access the benefits, or understand the benefits and challenges from 2012 and apply those learnings to your approach this year. Many marketers turn to this idea of generic coupon codes to ease management requirements, but you can lose some visibility and tracking and measurement of program success at the consumer level as a result. So as you plan and establish who you're sending these discounts to and determine if there's something more unique that might be appropriate. So let me give you an example. So there are a number of things to consider here, and clearly it's not a blanket statement response, but if you're using generic coupon codes like Holiday 2013, for example, the anticipation with a coupon code of that nature is that it's likely going to go viral, and it will likely be widely used. And if that's the goal and your objective and what you're trying to accomplish with the program or with that specific effort, then you want to look at driving reach and increasing the pass along of the coupon code and potentially acquiring customers that might not have otherwise purchased. So it's a great traffic strategy to use if that's what you're trying to accomplish. And it certainly has a place in the entire promotional mix. But I wouldn't encourage you to only use this tactic or this approach. You can consider other approaches in conjunction with this concept. So one of the challenges during the holiday season, everything is frantic, and I've sat on the client side in these holiday planning sessions, and they're tough, and there's a lot of things you need to accomplish, and there are a lot of moving parts, and shutdown times on websites and things like that. And so a lot of times what can happen is you spend a lot of time focused on the offers and the messages that you're going to send, but you lose sight of who your best customers are and that idea of targeting and segmenting them effectively. So if you kind of refocus and take a look at who your best customers are, looking at ways that you can message to them slightly differently during the holiday season is beneficial. You can, it's an opportunity to recognize them as great customers, as your best customers, and maybe consider a separate program or a single offer to them that is unique to your best customers, right? Maybe giving them a unique one-time use coupon code that is of a greater value or greater savings, or may impact their purchasing decision at a greater rate than what you're sending to the rest of the world and the rest of your your email world, as a way to say thank you for their loyalty throughout the remainder of the year and for the previous year. There are other approaches that you can use as well that are kind of fun and engaging over the holidays, specific to using unique coupon codes, and it's this idea of mystery discounts, scratch here kind of engagement things to find out what your discount was, or place items in your cart to find out what your discount is. So there's a lot of things that you can do that are fun and engaging with unique coupon codes as well that don't necessarily go viral, and they are one-time use type of opportunities as a way to drive a very specific engagement, or to thank or recognize your best customers. The other challenge with coupons is consumer behavior, and this is something that I talked about in the previous webinar, but it's something that is really prevalent today. Looking at the consumer behavior and their approach to discounts and offers and coupons is important. Consequently, it's one element that we can't necessarily control completely, but as marketers and as email marketers, it's something that we really have influenced very heavily over the course of many years. There are very few brands out there that are resolute in the fact that they don't do coupons. We don't do discounts. We don't do coupons. Rolex is one of them. They come to mind pretty quickly. But there are many others. And, for the rest of the marketing world, we've trained customers to wait for email discounts to come before they make a purchase. And so, because they're in that wait mode, it can really kind of start to fog or cloud the idea of driving incremental behavior. So, if you rewind way back, once upon a time in my direct mail days, you used to, be able to hold out a control group and then provide, an offer via mail or, in the early onset of email, via email to an unsuspecting audience, right? These are people who didn't expect to get a discount. They didn't expect to get an offer. And you could easily and very effectively test whether that offer impacted their decision or their purchase behavior. But we've gotten so effective at the distribution of offers and putting them in front of people that the practice has become really commonplace. And now we've trained consumers to expect those discounts. And when they're not getting them, that's when they start questioning the behavior. So, regardless, it's a phenomenon you need to take into consideration. And if you are a brand that sends significant discounts throughout the year, what are you going to do during the holiday season that is different than how you've messaged to them before? You may need to find different ways to incent or better offers, which further kind of impact the bottom line or the profit margin on what you're doing. You need to really ask yourself if you've trained your customers to wait for discount codes to come or coupons or sales before they make a purchase. Or, if you were to hold out a control group, would the lack of a discount potentially impact their desire to convert? So as you kind of turn your eye towards planning and looking at your 2013 programs, these are real things that you need to consider, and the consumer behavior is a critical piece of it. So the idea of a couponing strategy isn't new, but for most marketers, our programs can start to run through cycles, and having given the program a little bit of a facelift isn't necessarily a bad thing. So now, as you kind of move through this process and the evaluation process, now that you've kind of completed the year-over-year analysis, you need to then start, as we were talking about with behavior, kind of jump into the mind of the consumer. And during the holidays, being in the mind of the consumer is probably a pretty scary and frantic place. They have a lot going on during the holidays, right? Some of us have family who come to town, or we travel somewhere. Who's going to host dinner? When do you put up the holiday decorations? There are so many questions. Me specifically, I try and figure out what in the world I'm going to buy my husband, who is notorious for ruining every surprise I have ever tried to pull off. So, there's all of this chaos. And then you factor in the inbox clutter. So, inboxes are, like I said earlier, inundated with messaging during the holiday season. And so now the consumers are sifting through these deals and aligning who they're buying gifts for and what they want to buy for those people. And then ultimately it's the search is on for figuring out where they can get the best price. So, with all of that kind of swirling around, it's not just about providing the deals to the customer, but you need to provide them a pleasant experience, a very, succinct start-to-finish experience that is going to be enjoyable and something for them that is not going to be a hassle. And, they have enough going on already, so, you do need to take that into consideration is, the shortest and easiest way of getting them from point A to point B. But all of that being said, discounts are still important, right? They absolutely are. Consumers love deals. And nearly 84% of respondents to our 2013 Consumer Views of Email Marketing survey cited deals as the #1 reason for receiving email. So consumers want the deals and they want the discounts. And I'm sure, as email marketers, you see plenty of reporters out there that reference, air quotes, annoying email marketing messages. But the reality is that consumers are asking for them and they expect them, and it's the #1 reason they're signing up for email. And so as email marketers, we give them what they want. But, we have to do it the right way. And we have to be smart about how we provide them those offers to avoid becoming that annoying message. But email has become the channel that customers are most comfortable engaging with marketers in, and it truly has become a discount or couponing kind of channel for them. So as you look at your communication plan for the holiday season, you also need to kind of look at how you communicate with your consumer or your subscribers the rest of the year. So if you think about it, the entire rest of the year, we're encouraging subscribers to buy for themselves, right? We're looking at the behaviors that they demonstrate that, that put them into buying cycles and buying decisions. And the holiday season is a little different because we're encouraging them to buy for others. But the whole idea or the desire for them to snag a gift for themselves doesn't go away. So here you can see, according to research done by the National Retail Federation, the average shopper who is honest enough to admit, they plan on spending around $140 on themselves this gift-giving season. So it's not, as you look at coupons and discounts and offer development, don't lose sight of the idea of the self-gifter, the person who really does plan on buying something nice for themselves this year. So a way that you can use this, or a consideration in how you can apply this, is consider a customer who has come to the site, has purchased a gift for someone else, and it's a gift because either they said they wanted to have a gift wrapped, or maybe you asked as part of the checkout process, is this a gift for someone else? You have an opportunity now to send, with the transactional email, a little, sub-message or, a cross-sell, upsell offer, that is a surprise for themselves, for the gift giver, right? And encourage them to treat themselves during the hectic holiday season, amidst all the gift-giving buzz, to, do something nice for themselves and reward themselves for making it through the holiday. So not only have you, incented them, or they've been driven enough to go ahead and buy a gift on your site, but now you can also look at a way or an opportunity to drive that incremental behavior of, hey, why don't you do something nice for yourself? So as you look at what you plan to do for the holiday season, keep that self-gifter in mind. Don't lose sight of the fact that, the people buying gifts might also want something nice for themselves. But in all the thinking like the consumer, you also need to keep your business hat on. Chances are you're in this to make some money, right? As an organization, we're not doing this all, for free. And it's important to think like the consumer when you are revamping your holiday, coupon strategy. But at the end of the day, your goal is to drive your business forward as effectively as you can. And, sometimes we do, as email marketers especially, lose sight of the idea of maximizing profit for the sake of driving a sale, any sale. We want to be able to attribute revenue, and we want to have the attribution models that say, look at all of the revenue that email drove. But, it has to not be at a cost to the organization. So, to paint a very dramatic numbers picture, if you drove $1 million in revenue and it cost you $1.5 million to drive it, there's no profit. It's not enough to say that you drove $1 million in revenue. You actually cost the company money. So looking at the profitability and putting on that business hat and using the analytics to determine how effective your efforts are does become critical. And, so as I was saying, many marketers monitor this idea of conversion or revenue as a metric for success, or as a KPI. And while they are both critical, KPIs to overall program success, they are not the only two to focus on. So you really do need to be asking yourself what impact your offers and discounts are having on the bottom line. So in accomplishing this view of your programs, you need to ask yourself and more critically answer these questions honestly. Are you driving an incremental purchase? Is this a purchase that was going to happen anyway? Were these people going to come to your site? Were they going to buy? Were they going to do it regardless of what you sent them? Were you able to increase first-time purchase or minimize consumer spend with a competitor? Really being able to drive that first-time purchase, whether it's during the holiday season or any other time of year, is important. But as you look at the holiday season, is there an opportunity to further incent or further drive that first-time purchase? And then ultimately, the question is, are you going to or will you loyalty and a higher lifetime value as a result of those efforts? So, if you think about the fact that maybe you lose money a little bit on, the cost of acquisition of a customer, and you have this ability, though, to continue to grow and cultivate that relationship over time, ultimately increasing their lifetime value, does that make it worth it? And do you really have your eye on, that growth opportunity beyond the holiday season? So let's look at some of these questions in a little more detail. So as I said earlier, we know consumers are going to shop this holiday season. They may shop more or less, driven by kind of the economic landscape, but they're going to shop nonetheless. But, what, if anything, do you need to offer the customer to drive the purchase that would not have otherwise happened? So there are a number of verticals that look at this predisposition to behavior and address it, with their marketing messages, their discounting strategy, their contact strategy, specifically during the holiday season. A great example of this is the travel industry. So they don't do a lot of discounting during the holiday season. They don't have this huge ramp up of sheer volume of email that tends to go out the door during the holidays, because they know that people are going to travel during this time of year. And people are going to stay in hotels, they're going to get on planes, and they're going to demonstrate those behaviors whether they send an offer or a deal or a discount or not. For the travel industry, for them, they become focused on staying in front of the customer, staying top of mind, so that when the customer does make the decision to travel for the holidays, they travel with them. And so while there is, a bit of a departure from, the travel industry and retail specifically, retail tends to be the exact opposite of that. It's a lot of discounting and a lot of sales and a lot of opportunity. But it is important to take a step back and really think about and understand the incremental nature of what it is you're doing. Because if the customer was going to make the purchase anyway, and they were going to do it at full price, but then you sent them a discount because, that's what we do this time of year, and still make the purchase for less, you drove less. And you drove a lesser revenue number than would have otherwise happened. So did you really accomplish what you set out to do? And these are, things that you have to start looking at, especially during the holiday season when those volumes are up. So here's where some targeting and segmentation tactics can come into play. When you look at the idea of driving a first-time purchase, maybe it is a great idea for you to look at, your subscriber database. Do you have a large contingency of subscribers that have never made a purchase? So maybe you've got a group of people who subscribed in the last 6 months but have not converted, or they've been longtime subscribers. They've been on they've been receiving your email and engaging, opening and clicking for, a year or more, but they haven't made any recent purchases. Looking at how you can message to them slightly differently during the holiday season might be a great way for you to get them activated and engaged with your brand again. So, if you consider speaking to them a little different and addressing that you recognize them as previous subscribers but not buyers, and really reestablish the relationship with them, focused around your unique value proposition, ultimately reminding them of why they subscribed in the first place. Whether it be your customer service, that you offer free shipping year-round, or that you just offer the best darn product you can. Remind them of why they subscribed with you in the first place, and encourage them to start buying, with you during the holidays. driving a purchase from this subset of your subscriber base would likely be predominantly incremental if they're not purchasing with you already. So really being able to kind of take the idea of a re-engagement program and turn it on, its holiday head, and find good ways to address that type of market and that audience very specifically to drive that first-time purchase. So once you have the purchase and your customers have converted, especially during the holiday season, your job's not done, right? You need to continue to look at ways that you can drive continued loyalty and a higher lifetime value as a result of the efforts and all of the work that you've put into your holiday program. So if you're using coupon codes and you've got a subset of your customer base who came into your program through the use of a coupon code, they redeemed. Now that you've got this kind of a segment or kind of a self-identified audience of people who came into your program, maybe very specifically during the 2013 holiday season, and you now have this ability to measure their growth and their engagement with you long term in 2014. So you can track the audience of those subscribers that entered the program using that coupon code that you distributed via an email. And you can recognize this audience as maybe having not done business with you previously. They're new subscribers, and maybe they purchased a gift. But the possibility exists in that they just came to your site to buy a gift for someone very special, and it was something very unique. And they may or may not have a predisposition to continue engaging with you as a brand or as a product. And, so you have this opportunity now that they are engaged with you for the reasons of purchase of a gift, but you want to be able to take that one-time gift buyer and turn them into an engaged subscriber and turn them into a loyal customer and increase that lifetime value that they contribute to the bottom line as best you can. And so, you have this opportunity here to really start to do that and look at, the opportunity of, the idea of quote-unquote acquisition via a holiday and ultimately drive loyalty and lifetime value into that customer. So you guys have all seen this before, I'm sure. It's not a new concept, getting it right. But, as we've established, the holidays are chaotic. And with competition for attention in the inbox at an all-time high, you do really need to focus on getting it right. So understanding the timing and the shopping behaviors of your customers is a great place to start in the whole idea of getting it right. So if you look at this, it's approximately 50%, just over 50%, I think, or just about 50% of the shoppers start their holiday shopping during the 6 weeks that lead up to December 25th. You've got another 41% here that start well before the holidays, and those 12% of people who start before September make me very jealous because I am just not that organized. But then you've got this whole other, small group, albeit a very small group of about 3.5 people, or 3.5% that are late to the game, right? They start buying, the last 2 weeks of December. But part of translating, what you see here into a tactical approach to how you target your customer is really important. And part of that planning is to understand the holidays that they celebrate. So as an example, I can tell you that that weird 3.5% of people that start shopping the last 2 weeks of December, I'm part of that group. My family celebrates Orthodox Christmas, and it's January 7th. So I patiently wait until after the holiday rush is over and after the after Christmas discounts start to come, and that's when I buy all my Christmas gifts and all of my holiday gifts for my friends and family. So understanding that everyone has their own way of going about their holiday shopping and their own reasoning for when they shop and when they buy is critical in understanding your customer and their buying behaviors. And as you look at some of the opportunities that you have to truly understand that, you can leverage the idea of maybe progressive profiling in your email communications leading up to the holidays to, maybe include a module of, that's something like a survey or survey-esque that says, when do you start your holiday, your holiday shopping, and let them respond in a polling kind of manner to, let you know when they start. And then it gives you an opportunity to really get relevant with them. So, those are just things that you can consider in getting the timing of it right. So as we look at all of this, what does getting it right really look like? So you guys have all seen them before, right? The Christmas in July messages. And these are the types of messages that get a lot of folks thinking about how quickly the year's gone by, that it's almost back to school time, and that before you know it, I'm going to have to start holiday shopping. And I'll tell you, putting together this webinar really got me thinking that way, and it freaks me out. But the reality is that these messages can be very effective for brands, getting out there and understanding, what they may want in advance of the holiday rush, and to really get them thinking about what they can do. So it also, as we talked about self-gifters earlier, this may be the best time to grab the self-gifter group, right? They aren't in the throes of fire hosing money out of their wallets quite yet, and they don't have to worry about that self-guilt that comes right after, spending money on yourself when you should be spending it on someone else. So, getting an offer out there that allows them to, be part of the holiday ideation, but ahead of the holidays is always a great opportunity. And, July is as good a time as any to purchase your holiday shoes, right? That way you don't have to think about it when all the madness hits. But honestly, in all seriousness, being successful in this approach is really all about knowing your customer. Is it truly part of their buying habits to get in front of the holiday season and do this whole Christmas in July idea? Is there an opportunity to offer, Christmas-like sales, and do your customers really care about those types of offers and opportunities in the summer? So again, this goes back to really understanding the customer buying cycle, and these types of things are typically very, very unique to a business and a brand. So we also discussed this idea of volume increases during the holiday season, and it's these types of programs that are largely impactful on the increase in volume in the inbox. Ultimately, this idea of an email mini-series. It's a program within your program that has a very definitive start and a very definitive stop. And these types of programs can be very, very successful at the holiday time. But you need to set expectations appropriately so the consumers know what to expect from you during this time. So here you can see PacSun specifically calls out that they're doing a 12 days of deals, and it starts on 12/12/12. And as the name indicates, it's going to run for 12 days. So the customers know, their subscribers know that for 12 days running concurrently, they are going to get a deal from PacSun. And here they even go on to, call out the fact that it is exclusive one-day-only deals. And so this encourages the customer to come back and check their inbox daily for, what it is that PacSun has in mind for them today, and what discount or deal can they take advantage of. So the idea of being able to run programs like these can be, like I said, very effective. And if you are messaging with email subscribers that you have a relationship with, your customers, they tend to be pretty accepting and have a tolerance for increased messaging volume from you during certain times, in their life cycle. And the holiday season is certainly one of those times. But like I said, you really should be sure to let them know what to expect, what those expectations are, and then you really do need to deliver against those expectations. So it's not just about setting them, you have to deliver against them. And meeting expectations is a critical element here. And getting the right message to your customer can be accomplished in multiple ways. So here you can see Uncommon Goods actually added a holiday navigation bar. So they've got stocking stuffers, gifts under 25, gifts under 50. These are elements that, people are going and looking for on their website. These are categories that they have on their website during the holiday season. And to facilitate, what it is their customers want and expect from their message content, it's a very easy and simple way of getting the right message to the customer, and they choose to highlight that here. It's also important to keep in mind during the holidays that there's a sense of urgency, right? There are very specific, cutoff points and dates in which you can't get get things shipped, and you can't make the impossible happen. And appealing to that can be very effective. So here you can see they've highlighted the idea of the expedited shipping. There is a guaranteed delivery date by December 24th if you order by 5 p.m. on December 20th. They're setting the expectation for the customer. And they call this out specifically. No one is dreaming of a late Christmas, right? You don't want to get those offers or you don't want to get those gifts and receive them late because you had shipping problems. And as more and more people are turning to e-commerce to facilitate their gift buying behavior, making sure that people keep front of mind, this idea of expedited shipping and being able to get the present in time is important. But here they've also provided an opportunity or an option for the last-minute gift buyer as well. So, alas, if the impossible, happens, being able to get a gift to these people becomes possible. So you highlight the fact here that, if you forgot someone, there's still hope. You can get an electronic gift card. This messaging is very specific to holiday shopping behavior, and it provides the recipient with the variety of right messages, right? But getting the right message also requires you to get it to the right person. And again, like I said at the beginning, sometimes brands will look at just sending full file messages during the holiday season because it's just easier. But you really shouldn't lose sight of targeting and segmentation strategies during the holiday season. And, other things to take into consideration are putting a serious eye towards your site abandon or cart abandon programs during this time of year as well, and adjust your messaging accordingly to account for this holiday buying life cycle. Abandoned cart programs could be very critical and very effective in this type of environment if you just change your messaging slightly to address the fact that it's the holiday season. A lot of times those programs are really set it and forget it, and they get overlooked during the holiday season. But you can make them really relevant to that time of year, and it might allow you the opportunity to again see an incremental purchase behavior that might not have otherwise happened. So I know this is another example from Uncommon Goods, and they're not a client, but I am a really big fan of their email program, and they do a terrific job of messaging into the life cycle. And so here you can see, again, they're taking that story kind of full circle, where, once it was highlighted at the bottom, the idea of, 'tis the night before Christmas and you have no gift, to actually sending a message the night before Christmas to remind them that if there's anybody else that they need to buy for, they still have a chance to not be, the one who forgot to buy Aunt B a gift. And they keep their content fun and engaging. And, here there's no chimney required, right? The one thing I will say about content that stands alone, though, is that it's important to take into consideration your voice and your tone with your customers throughout the year, and make sure you stay true to it. Uncommon Goods is, they have some wit in what they do, and they do carry the same tone through their subject lines, their email communications, their website, and their catalog. So there is that kind of witticism to it, but it is innate into the type of business that they are. And it gives them the opportunity to kind of stand out, from the inbox clutter with a subject line that says no chimney required, in comparison to all the hurry now kind of email messages that are in the inbox. So being able to kind of take that content that stands alone and is very representative of your brand is an important element of this as well. The last thing to look at, as far as content goes, is the idea of making your content engaging. So here you can see, this is an example from Finish Line. This was their Cyber Monday sale, and they had a countdown clock. Right? These are the countdown clock to Cyber Monday, and every time a recipient would open the message, the countdown clock was counting in real time, so it would have reduced by the right number of seconds. And it gives this kind of sense of urgency. It gives the ability to see that time is ticking away. And so this is something that you can accomplish leveraging partners like Movable Ink in conjunction with your email content strategy. And you can really build into this idea of counting down to the holidays, or counting down to a sale event around the holidays, and stand out from kind of the rest of the audience or the rest of the messages that the customers are receiving. So as with any campaign, truly defining success from the beginning is critical. But with so much competition for our eyes in the inbox, being rampant during the holiday season, it makes it even more important. And, while I have said this no short of a dozen times, you want to really be able to identify the opportunities where you have driven an incremental behavior. And in order to truly do that, you do need to hold out a control group to measure against. And it is that kind of comparative of the behaviors between the control group and the test group that are going to give you a line of sight to truly understanding what the best answer to the question, what is the value of my holiday campaigns? And, really making sure that you keep an eye towards that as you're doing your planning this year is, something that I would strongly recommend. So as we kind of wrap this up and take a step back into June and get back to our 4th of July planning, hopefully by the pool with a fruity frozen cocktail, which is where I'd like to be, you need to start thinking about what you need to do to make your holiday campaigns a stellar success this year. So, focus on setting goals and objectives while in the consumer's frame of mind. Truly measure and optimize your campaigns in getting it right while not losing sight of, the whole idea of the profitability of the programs and the coupons and the offers that you're putting out there. It's a tall order, I know, and something that we're asked to do as email marketers daily. But, now is as good a time as any to really, kind of flex your email know-how inside the organization and start, having these conversations about how best to leverage the channel and how best to plan for 2013 with your email programs inside your organization and demonstrate to, all around you just how effective and how powerful the channel can be. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to spend with me. So just so everybody knows, we are going to be sending out a link to the recording and the slides to all registrants of the webinar on Friday. So keep a lookout. I know there's some questions here submitted about getting the deck, so you will all get those. And just kind of an aside, so that everybody is aware, the idea of unique coupon codes gives marketers really this high degree of strategic control over their couponing programs, and that's true during the holidays or any other time of year. So Blue Hornet has recently announced our newest solution, which is unique coupon distribution, making it fast and easy for marketers to create and distribute the types of programs and the unique coupon codes that we were talking about today. So if you'd like more info on that or a demo, go ahead and visit bluehornet.com. And with that, I will hand it over to Jennifer and open it up for questions. So thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Thanks, Kara. And we do have a few questions that have come in, so I'll kick it off with our first one, which is, what do you do if you find out that your customers are trained to wait for coupons?
Well, there are a number of, it's a very big question, and the reality is that they probably are, right? They probably are trained to wait, and so what you're going to have to do is leverage the fact that they are trained to wait as kind of the baseline of performance, right? And look at, what is their behavior around your current sending cycles? Try to factor in their purchase decisioning and their purchase behavior, and then, really back into a strategy that is going to be effective. Part of the challenge is that, because consumers have become kind of, focused on waiting for these discounts and waiting for these offers, it's forced brands to really kind of reevaluate how they price their products and how they value their business. And so I would say that you would have to absolutely take that into consideration in a much bigger strategic way that is relevant to the business and the business decision itself first, and then translate what that means then for your marketing messaging. What can you do? What else can you offer that is going to be of value to the customer? While still, maintaining a sense of profitability for the business. And, unfortunately, in this forum, it's hard to get into specifics because everybody's business on the webinar is a little different. But, you really have to then, start thinking about and evaluating what is it that I can do that is going to continue to drive and motivate and keep these people loyal to our brand without, giving away the farm.
Okay, great. This question is a little more specific. How would you create a countdown clock?
Sure. So, it's something that you can technically probably do on your own, but Movable Ink is a great partner. They have countdown clock functionality. It's, kind of an app or a widget that you can get in working with them and partnering with them. It's ultimately, an animated GIF that's kind of served up from a website that, every time the email opens, the countdown clock refreshes and starts where it should be counting down from. So it's actually pretty cool technology. I am a big fan of Movable Ink. They do more than just countdown clocks as well. It's kind of real-time optimization of content on the open. So if you haven't worked with them before, I would suggest taking a look.
Okay, and sort of as a follow-up question then, do you think we'll see an increase in animated GIFs in holiday emails this year?
It's possible. I think the idea of motion in email is, it's depending on how it's applied, is very cool. I mean, there are, some brands that do a really great job with it, and I think depending on how you apply it is what the bigger question is, right? So it's not really just a matter of, creating an animated GIF of 4 products and, iterating through it, right? You want to leverage an animated GIF in a way that is going to, kind of create the feel of motion or create the feel of video, in the message itself. So, it certainly is a content tactic that increases engagement in most situations, and I would anticipate seeing a bit of an increase in the use of animation in email this year.
All right, great. Our next question is, how can you determine if you are minimizing a customer's spend with a competitor?
So the idea there is really you can't know that definitively, clearly, because you don't know whether they made a purchase with your competition or not. But the idea is that if you motivate or encourage them to make the purchase with you, they are then in turn not buying from the competitor. So I think in the example that we had in the webinar was very specific around the idea of driving a first purchase. So, if you have a customer base that has subscribed, is engaging with your email, but is not buying from you, right? You have this contingency of people that clearly have an interest in whatever it is you're selling, or whatever your product or service is, but they're not buying from you. So the likelihood is that they're buying from someone else, and in trying to determine why that is and why they're buying with your competition versus you want to be able to drive them towards the behavior of purchasing and engaging with you in lieu of the competition. So in that very specific example, looking at ways that you can address that market, and specifically around the holidays, because there tends to be a greater opportunity to incent and provide various discounts and offers and really get in front of people. And again, because they are in this buying frame of mind, that you have this opportunity now to try and sway them in a different way and drive that behavior.
Okay, excellent. So it looks like our next question is having to do with coupons going viral. Other than creating unique one-time use coupon codes, are there any best practice marketing message strategies to minimize coupon codes going viral?
Yeah, so the opportunity, for coupon codes, it's especially in an e-commerce environment, are endless. They're so easy to use and to facilitate, but the challenge does become in them going viral, and a lot of brands don't want that. And the challenge is that you're always, especially if you have like a loyalty program, or there's all these like coupon clippers and these coupon fanatics now that have sites up that will put coupon codes up and encourage others to put them up. And people will just use the heck out of them, and there's no real value to you as a marketer, as a brand, because that person is surely shopping with you because of that coupon, and they probably won't come back until there's another discount that they can take advantage of. And so, I mean, as far as being able to minimize those coupon codes going viral, it's really complicated to do unless you use a one-time use. If you do have, you can put, with your e-com platform, you can put some restrictions on the volume of use of a coupon code. So, you don't have to leave it unlimited. You don't have to leave it uncapped. If you want to encourage some virility but not, share it with the world, you can put, marketing programs together around, this is for you and 5 of your closest friends, right? And use this coupon code and they can share it. And what that's going to mean is that, you're going to be able to use it 6 times, right? And you've been very clear in how you've positioned that from a marketing standpoint. So there are some offers and opportunities that you can kind of put out there that set the expectation of the customer that this isn't for the world to use. But if you still want to get some reach, and encourage them to share, you can do it that way.
Okay, and it looks like we're down to our last question. So here we go. Can you dive into creating control groups to understand your customer's behavior?
Sure. I could talk about control groups all day long. So, creating control groups is, and holding out a control group for your marketing programs is, especially in email, is something that I recommend to all of the customers that I work with. The idea is that you want to, and your targeting and segmentation strategy is going to have to align with whatever it is you're doing with your control group. But the idea is that, let's say you have an engaged audience that you message to frequently. So and let's define engaged as somebody who's in the last 90 days. So now you've got this audience of people. From that group, you're going to want to hold out a control group. So it's a random select from that audience that is a statistically viable sample of your customer, of that profile or of that group. So, 10%, depending on how big that group is, 10% is typically a good rule of thumb. But if it's a large audience, it could be as low as 3% or 4%. So you're going to want to do a little bit of math there to determine the statistical viability of that. And before anybody asks me how to do that, I rely on people who are far smarter than me, who know statistics really well to answer that question for me. But 10% tends to be a good rule of thumb. And you're going to hold that. You're going to hold that out. You're not going to send email communications to that audience, and you are going to hold that out, and measure then the behavior between the two groups. So a lot of times what you'll start seeing is, people in your control group are still seeing, offers and advertising from you elsewhere, right? They're seeing offers that are coming to you via, a banner ad program, or if you do TV or, other kinds of display. So they're still seeing your name, and they're still your customers, and they're still engaging. But what you can do then is compare between the two, what impact did that email program that you sent or that offer that you sent have on their behavior? And compare them side by side. And that's where you can start getting this idea of incremental behavior. So, because, you've got these two very similar audiences, you can say, okay, these people over here didn't receive an email with this offer, and these people over here did. And do you see a big discrepancy in their performance? Do you see an increased lift in conversion? Did they drive a higher average order value? Was the revenue of that group, higher or lower than you expected? And it starts to give you this idea of, what that incremental behavior was, or what was the result truly of sending that email communication.
Well, excellent, Kara. Thanks so much for your presentation. Just wanted to let the audience know that we've pulled up bluehornet.com so that people, if you're interested to learn more, you can go check out the site. With that does end the conference call for today. We thank you very much for your participation. You may now disconnect. Have a wonderful day.